When 70-year-old May Musk walked into that Beverly Hills Chanel store, she just wanted to buy something special for her grandson's graduation. What happened next would break her heart, but her son's response would change the lives of millions of people forever. This is the true story of how one moment of cruelty sparked a movement that transformed an entire industry. It's about a mother's dignity, a son's love, and the incredible power of turning pain into purpose. What Elon did wasn't what anyone expected. He didn't get angry. He didn't seek revenge. Instead, he built something so powerful that it would ensure no mother would ever face that humiliation again. The California sun beat down on Rodeo Drive as May Musk stepped out of her modest Honda Civic. At 70 years old, she moved with the grace of someone who had spent decades as a professional model. Her silver hair caught the light as she walked toward the gleaming Chanel boutique. She had saved for months for this moment. Her grandson was graduating from Stanford University next week, and she wanted to buy something special for the celebration. A classic Chanel suit seemed perfect for such an important day. The security guard at the store entrance looked her up and down. His eyes lingered on her simple blue dress and worn leather handbag. He didn't smile or nod. He just watched her with cold, judging eyes. Inside the store, everything sparkled. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling. Shiny display cases showed off expensive purses and jewelry. The air smelled like expensive perfume. 3 saleswomen stood behind the counter, whispering to each other. They looked at May and then back at each other. One of them, a young woman with perfectly styled blonde hair, walked over. "Can I help you find something?" the saleswoman asked. Her name tag read Jessica. She spoke in a sweet voice, but her eyes were not kind. "Yes, I'm looking for a classic Chanel suit," May said politely. "Something elegant for a special occasion." Jessica's smile became fake. She looked at May's simple clothes again. "A Chanel suit? Are you sure? They're quite expensive." "I understand," May replied. "This is for my grandson's graduation. He's finishing Stanford University." Jessica's voice got louder. "Ma'am, our suits start at $8,000. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable shopping at the mall." Other customers in the store started to stare. An older man trying on a watch looked over. A young couple holding hands stopped talking and watched. May felt her cheeks get hot. "I can afford it," she said quietly. "I just want to see what you have." Jessica shook her head. "Mom, I don't think you understand. This is Chanel. We serve a very specific type of customer." The words hit May like a slap. She had been a successful model and nutritionist. She had written books and raised 3 children alone. She had worked hard her whole life. But this young woman was treating her like she didn't matter. "Our clients are usually younger," Jessica continued, speaking even louder now. "They understand fashion and quality. They know what they want and can afford it without asking questions." More people were staring now. May felt small and embarrassed. She thought about her grandson's graduation. She thought about how proud she was of him. She thought about how she had dreamed of wearing something beautiful to celebrate his success. "I think you should try Target," Jessica said with a cruel smile. "They have nice clothes for people like you." The store fell silent. Even the classical music playing overhead seemed to stop. May stood frozen, feeling the eyes of everyone in the store on her. She had faced many hard things in her life. She had been a single mother with no money. She had worked multiple jobs to feed her children. She had been rejected and judged before. But this felt different. This hurt in a way that went deep into her heart. I'll just go," May whispered. She turned and walked toward the door, her head held high despite the pain. The security guard watched her leave without saying a word. The other customers went back to their shopping, already forgetting about the old woman who had been humiliated. Outside, May sat in her car for a long moment. Her hands shook as she held the steering wheel. She thought about calling her son, Elon, but what would she say? That she had been treated badly because she was old, that she had been judged by her appearance. She took a deep breath and reached for her phone. Some things needed to be shared, even when they hurt. The phone rang twice before Elon answered. "Hi, Mom. How was your day?" May's voice caught in her throat. "Elon, I need to tell you something that happened today." As she began to speak, she had no idea that this phone call would change everything. She didn't know that her son's response would create a wave of change that would help millions of people. She only knew that she needed to tell someone about the pain in her heart. The conversation that followed would become the beginning of something much bigger than either of them could imagine. Before we learn what Elon would do about his mother's pain, we need to understand the woman who raised him. May Musk's story began long before that terrible day at the Chanel store. Born in Canada but raised in South Africa, May had always been different. As a young woman in the 1970s, she worked as a model while studying to become a nutritionist. She was tall and beautiful, with striking cheekbones and bright eyes that seemed to see the best in everyone. When May was 31 years old, her world fell apart. Her marriage ended in divorce, leaving her alone with 3 young children, Elon, Kimball, and Tosca. In South Africa during that time, single mothers faced many challenges. People looked down on them. Jobs were hard to find. Money was always tight. May worked 2 jobs to keep her family together. During the day, she helped people learn about healthy eating as a nutritionist. At night and on weekends, she posed for photographs as a model. Sometimes she worked at grocery stores or offices, doing whatever she could to pay the bills. There were nights when May went to bed hungry so her children could have dinner. She ate peanut butter sandwiches while they enjoyed proper meals with meat and vegetables. She wore the same 3 dresses for months while making sure her kids had clean clothes for school. The hardest time came when they had no place to live. May's car became their temporary home. She would park outside 24-hour restaurants so the children could use the bathrooms and do their homework under the bright lights. She told them it was an adventure, but inside, her heart was breaking. "Mom always made us feel like we were special," Elon would later remember. "Even when we had nothing, she made us believe we could do anything." Young Elon was fascinated by computers and video games. Most parents in the 1980s didn't understand these machines. They thought computers were just expensive toys. But May watched her 12-year-old son spend hours typing strange codes and symbols into their old computer. When Elon created his first video game, called Blast Star, May didn't understand how it worked, but she saw the excitement in his eyes. She saw how proud he was of his creation. So when a computer magazine offered to buy the game for $500, she drove him to their office herself. "I didn't know what he had made," May remembered years later, "but I knew it was important to him. And if it was important to Elon, it was important to me." As the children grew older, their dreams grew bigger. Elon talked about moving to America to start technology companies. Most people laughed at these ideas. Away from South Africa wanting to change the world, it seemed impossible. But May never laughed. She listened to every wild idea. She supported every crazy dream. When Elon decided he wanted to move to America, at age 17, she didn't try to stop him. Instead, she gave him her last $2,000 and a one-way ticket to Canada. "It was all the money I had," she said, "but I knew he needed to follow his dreams." After her children left home, May rebuilt her own life. She continued working as a nutritionist, helping thousands of people improve their health. She wrote books about proper eating and exercise. She kept modeling, appearing in magazines and advertisements even in her 50s and 60s. People were amazed that a woman her age could still work as a model. But May didn't see age as a limit. She saw it as experience and wisdom. She believed that beauty came from confidence and kindness, not just from being young. May moved to New York City in her 60s to be closer to her children and grandchildren. She lived in a small apartment and continued working. She didn't need fancy things or expensive clothes. She found joy in simple pleasures, cooking healthy meals, reading good books, and spending time with family. When people asked about her famous son Elon and his companies Tesla and SpaceX, May would smile proudly. But she never bragged or acted like she was better than anyone else. She remained the same humble woman who had once slept in her car to keep her family together. "Success didn't change her," said her friend Margaret, who had known May for 20 years. "She still treated everyone with respect. She still remembered what it felt like to struggle." This was the woman who walked into that Chanel store on that March day in 2018, a woman who had worked her whole life, a woman who had sacrificed everything for her children, a woman who had earned the right to be treated with dignity and respect. But the young saleswoman named Jessica didn't know any of this history. She didn't know about the nights May went hungry. She didn't know about the jobs she worked to support her family. She didn't know about the dreams she had helped her children achieve. All Jessica saw was an older woman in simple clothes. All she saw was someone who didn't look rich or important, and so she decided that May Musk didn't deserve to be treated like a human being. That was Jessica's first mistake. Her second mistake was not realizing that this particular mother had raised a son who would move heaven and earth to protect the people he loved. The conversation between May and Elon that day would last for 30 minutes. By the time it ended, Elon's jaw was clenched tight, and his mind was already forming a plan that would change everything. Elon Musk sat in his office at the Tesla factory in Fremont, California. Numbers and graphs covered his computer screen, showing how many cars his workers had built that week. He was proud of the progress they were making. Electric cars were finally becoming popular, and Tesla was leading the way. When his phone rang and he saw Mom on the screen, Elon smiled. He always had time for his mother, no matter how busy he was. "Hi, Mom. How was your day?" he asked, leaning back in his chair. "Elon, I need to tell you something that happened today," May said. Her voice sounded different, shaky. Elon sat up straight. "What's wrong?" May told him everything. About wanting to buy a suit for the graduation. About walking into the Chanel store with hope and excitement. About the security guard's cold stare and Jessica's cruel words. As she spoke, Alan's face changed. His assistant, Maria, worked at a desk nearby. She had seen this look before. Alan's jaw got tight. His eyes got hard. His hands made fists. "They said what to you?" Elon asked. His voice was quiet. But Maria knew that was dangerous. When Elon spoke quietly like that, it meant he was very angry. "It's okay, dear," May said quickly. "I just wanted to tell you, people can be unkind sometimes. I've dealt with worse." "No, Mom, it's not okay." Elon stood up and walked to his window. He could see workers building cars in the factory below. These were good people who worked hard and treated others with respect. "Tell me exactly what she said." May repeated Jessica's words. "About being the wrong type of customer, about trying Target instead, about not understanding fashion and quality. With each detail, Alan's anger grew. This wasn't just about rude customer service. This was about his mother, the woman who had sacrificed everything for her children, the woman who had gone hungry so he could eat, the woman who had given him her last $2,000 to chase his dreams in America. "Mom, you raised 3 kids by yourself," Elon said. "You worked 2 jobs to put us through school. You slept in your car when we had nowhere to live. You never complained. Not once. That was a long time ago," May said softly. "It doesn't matter how long ago it was." Alan's voice got louder. "You're the strongest person I know. You taught me to work hard and never give up. You believed in me when no one else did. And some saleswoman thinks she can judge you because of how you look." Maria looked up from her computer. In 5 years of working for Elon, she had never heard him this upset about anything personal. He got angry about work problems or when people said electric cars wouldn't work. But this was different. This was family. Elon walked back to his desk and sat down. "Mom, do you remember when I was 12 and I made that video game, The Last Star?" May said. "Of course I remember. You didn't understand computers at all. But you drove me to that magazine office because you knew it was important to me. You sat in that waiting room for 2 hours while I talked to the editor. You were so excited," May remembered. "Your whole face lit up when they said they wanted to buy it. And when I wanted to move to America, you didn't try to stop me. You gave me everything you had. You had big dreams. I wanted to help them come true." Elon closed his eyes. He could picture his mother as a young woman, working so hard to keep their family together. He remembered her coming home tired from her 2 jobs but still helping him with his homework. He remembered her wearing the same 3 dresses for months, while making sure he had clean clothes for school. "When I started Zip2, my first company, you believed in me even when investors said I was too young." Elon continued. "When I started PayPal, you told everyone your son was going to change the world. When I started Tesla and SpaceX, You never once said I was crazy. Because I knew you weren't crazy, May said. I knew you were special. You made me who I am. Today, Mom, every success I've had started with the confidence you gave me, the work ethic you taught me, the belief that I could make the impossible happen. Tears filled Ellen's eyes. He didn't cry often, but thinking about his mother's pain made his heart hurt. And now some person who doesn't know anything about you thinks she can treat you like you don't matter, like you're not good enough. Elon shook his head. That's not going to happen. What do you mean? May asked. I mean, I'm going to fix this. Elon, you don't need to do anything. I'm fine. No, you're not fine. And neither am I. Elon looked at his computer screen. But he wasn't seeing the car production numbers anymore. He was seeing something else. A plan, a way to make sure this never happened again. Mom, I've built rocket ships and electric cars. I've sent people to space and changed how the world thinks about energy. But none of that matters if I can't protect the person who made it all possible. What are you going to do? May asked again. Elon smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile he got when he was about to solve a big problem. Something that will make sure this never happens to anyone's mother again. After they hung up, Elon sat in his office for a long time. The sun was setting outside, and the factory was getting quiet. Most of the workers had gone home to their families. Maria was still at her desk, finishing some reports. She had been listening to the phone call, and she could see that Elon was thinking hard about something. Is everything okay? She asked. Elon looked at her. Maria, my mother was treated badly today. Really badly. By people who judged her based on how she looked instead of who she is. I'm sorry to hear that, Maria said. Your mother seems like a wonderful person. She's the best person I know, Elon said. And I'm going to make sure she never has to go through something like that again. Maria had worked for Elon long enough to know that when he said he was going to fix something, he meant it. When traffic bothered him, he started a tunnel company. When rockets cost too much, he built SpaceX. When people said electric cars would never work, he created Tesla. Now someone had hurt his mother, and Maria knew that meant Elon was about to change the world again. That night, Elon couldn't sleep. He walked around his small house in Los Angeles, thinking about his mother's voice on the phone. He had sold his big mansions in 2020, choosing to live simply so he could focus on his work. But tonight, even his simple home felt too big and empty. He kept hearing Jessica's cruel words in his head. We serve a very specific type of customer. The phrase made him angry every time he thought about it. Elon went to his kitchen and made coffee, even though it was midnight. He sat at his small table and thought about all the times his mother had supported him when he was scared to start his first company. She had told him, "You can do anything, Elon." When people said his ideas were impossible, she had said, "Prove them wrong." Now it was his turn to support her. The next morning, Elon arrived at his office early. Maria was surprised to see him there before sunrise. "Did you sleep at all?" she asked, noticing the dark circles under his eyes. "A little," Elon lied. "Maria, I need you to research something for me. That Chanel store on Rodeo Drive where my mother was treated badly. I want to know everything about it." Maria opened her laptop. "What kind of information do you need?" "Everything. Who owns it? What their sales numbers are? How long they've been in business? I want to know about the staff, the training they get, their customer service policies. I want to know how many complaints they've received." Maria looked confused. "Are you thinking about buying something there?" "Not exactly," Elon said. His voice had that quiet, dangerous tone again. "Just get me the information." While Maria worked on her research, Elon made phone calls. First, he called his lawyer, James Chen, who had helped him with business deals for years. "James, I need you to look into something for me," Elon said. "It's about retail stores and how they treat customers, specifically older customers." "What's this about?" James asked. "Someone was rude to my mother. Very rude. I want to know what laws exist to protect people from this kind of treatment." James was quiet for a moment. He had worked with Elon long enough to know that personal matters could become very serious business matters. "I'll look into it and get back to you." Double quotes next. Elon called his business manager, Sarah Kim. She handled his investments and financial planning. Sarah, I'm thinking about making some investments in retail businesses, Elon said. Particularly stores that sell luxury items to older customers. That's an interesting change, Sarah said. You've never shown interest in retail before. What's driving this? Let's just say I've identified a problem that needs solving, Elon replied. I want you to research which retail companies might be open to improving their customer service training. By noon, Maria had finished her research. She knocked on Ellen's office door and came in with a thick folder. I found out about that Chanel store, she said. It's owned by a man named Richard Pemberton. He's 55 years old and owns several luxury retail locations in Beverly Hills and New York. Elon looked through the papers. What about complaints? That's interesting, Maria said. I found several social media posts from customers complaining about rude treatment at that store. Most of the complaints are from older customers, and many mention the same saleswoman, Jessica. Elon said grimly. Yes, it looks like this isn't the first time she's been rude to older shoppers, but the complaints were mostly ignored or deleted from the store's social media pages. Elon studied the financial information about Richard Pemberton's business. The man was successful but not incredibly wealthy. His stores made good money, but he probably couldn't afford to lose major customers or face bad publicity. Get me a meeting with this Richard Pemberton, Elon told Maria. What should I tell him? It's about. Tell him I'm interested in discussing customer service excellence in luxury retail. Don't mention my mother or the incident. Just say I want to talk about business opportunities. Maria made the call that afternoon. As expected, when Richard Pemberton heard that Elon Musk wanted to meet with him, he agreed immediately. They scheduled a meeting for the following week at a quiet restaurant in Beverly Hills. Meanwhile, May was trying to go on with her normal life. She had a photo shoot for a health magazine, where she posed with fresh vegetables and smiled for the camera. She met with clients at her nutrition practice, helping them plan healthy meals. She tried to forget about what had happened at the store, but her friends noticed she seemed different. At lunch with her neighbor, Patricia, May was quieter than usual. Are you feeling okay? Patricia asked. You seem sad about something. I'm fine, May said, but she wasn't very convincing. Did something happen? You can tell me. May told Patricia about the incident at the Chanel store. Patricia was shocked and angry. That's terrible. You should report them to someone. That's discrimination. I don't want to make trouble, May said. Elon is already upset about it. I'm worried he might do something dramatic. Patricia laughed. Well, if anyone can fix a problem, it's your son. Maybe a little drama is exactly what that store needs. But May wasn't laughing. She knew Elon well enough to know that when he got that determined look in his eyes, big changes were coming. She just hoped he wouldn't do anything that would bring too much attention to the situation. Back at his office, Elon was working late again. He had spread papers across his desk, research about age discrimination, information about retail training programs, and financial reports about luxury stores. His phone rang. It was his brother Kimball, calling from New York. Elon, Mom told me what happened at that store. I can't believe someone treated her like that. I can believe it, Elon said darkly. And I'm going to make sure it never happens again. What are you planning to do? Elon looked at the photo on his desk, a picture of his mother from her modeling days, young and beautiful and full of hope. Next to it was a newer photo of her with her grandchildren, still beautiful but now wise and experienced. Something that will make sure this never happens to anyone's mother again, Elon said. That sounds big, Kimball said. How big are we talking? Elon smiled for the first time in days. It was the smile he got when he was about to change the world. Hick. Enough. Over the next few days, Alan's team began digging deeper. What they found made the situation even worse than he had imagined. James Chen, Alan's lawyer, called with disturbing news. I've been researching age discrimination in retail, he said. It's a bigger problem than most people realize. Older customers are often ignored, dismissed, or treated rudely because salespeople think they won't spend much money. But that's illegal, right? Elon asked. It's complicated, James explained. Discrimination based on age is illegal in employment, but customer service discrimination is harder to prove in court. Most older people just walk away when they're treated badly. They don't fight back. Sarah Kim, his business manager, had similar findings. I've been looking at complaint websites and social media, she said. There are hundreds of stories about older people being treated poorly in stores. It happens everywhere: clothing stores, car dealerships, jewelry shops. Elon felt sick to his stomach. His mother's experience wasn't unique. This was happening to thousands of people every day. Maria continued researching the specific Chanel store. I found more information about Jessica, she reported. She's worked there for 3 years. In that time, the store has received at least 15 complaints about her treatment of older customers, but she was never disciplined or retrained. 15 complaints, Elon said angrily. And they did nothing. It gets worse, Maria continued. I found social media posts going back 2 years. An 80-year-old man complained that Jessica told him he was too old to understand fashion. A 65-year-old woman said Jessica laughed when she asked about expensive jewelry. Elon couldn't sit still. He paced around his office, his anger growing. With each new piece of information, there's more, Maria said quietly. I created a fake social media account and reached out to some of these people. They told me similar stories about other stores too. This isn't just Jessica. This isn't just one store. It's everywhere. That afternoon, Elon decided to see the problem for himself. He put on simple clothes and dark sunglasses so people wouldn't recognize him. Then he went to several stores in Beverly Hills and watched how different customers were treated. At a fancy jewelry store, he watched an elderly man in a worn jacket ask to see a diamond ring. The salesman barely looked at him. Those rings are very expensive, sir, the salesman said coldly. Perhaps you'd like to see something in our more affordable section. But when a young man in expensive clothes came in, the same salesman smiled widely and offered him champagne while showing the best jewelry. At a car dealership, Elon saw an older woman asking about a new car. The salesperson kept trying to show her used cars instead. These might be more practical for someone your age, he said. When the woman insisted she wanted to see new cars, the salesperson sighed and acted annoyed. The worst incident happened at a high-end clothing store. Elon watched a grandmother shopping with her teenage granddaughter. When the grandmother asked about a dress, the saleswoman spoke only to the teenager. Does your grandmother have a budget limit? She asked, as if the older woman couldn't speak for herself. Each incident made Elon more determined to find a solution. This wasn't just about his mother anymore. This was about millions of older people who were being treated like they didn't matter. That evening, Elon called his mother to check on her. How are you feeling, Mom? He asked. I'm okay, May said. I went to my nutrition practice today and helped several clients. It felt good to be useful. You're always useful, Mom. You're one of the most important people in the world. May laughed softly. You're sweet, but I'm just one old woman. You're not just anything, Elon said firmly. And what happened to you happens to a lot of just one old woman every single day. It's not right. Have you been thinking about this all week? May asked, worried. I've been researching it, Elon admitted. Mom, this is a real problem. Older people are being treated badly everywhere, not just at that one store. What are you going to do about it? Elon looked at the piles of research on his desk. Stories of discrimination, statistics about ageism, legal documents about customer rights. All of it pointed to the same conclusion: the system was broken. I'm going to fix it, he said simply. How? The same way I fixed the problem with electric cars. The same way I fixed the problem with space travel. I'm going to create a better system. May was quiet for a moment. She knew that tone in her son's voice. It was the same tone he had used when he decided to build Tesla, the same tone when he started SpaceX. That sounds like a big project, she said. It is a big project. But big projects are the only ones worth doing. After he hung up, Elon sat in his office late into the night. He spread out all the research his team had gathered. The problem was clear: millions of older people were being discriminated against simply because of their age. They were being judged by how they looked instead of who they were. But Elon had learned something important during his investigation. He had learned that this wasn't really about age discrimination. It was about respect. It was about treating every person with dignity, regardless of how much money they appeared to have or how young they looked. Most importantly, he had learned that many business owners didn't even realize this was happening in their stores. They weren't intentionally cruel. They just hadn't thought about training their employees to treat all customers equally. That gave him hope. If the problem was lack of awareness and training, then it could be solved. And Elon Musk was very good at solving problems. He picked up his phone and called Maria, even though it was almost midnight. "I need you to set up that meeting with Richard Pemberton for tomorrow," he said, "and I need you to research something else for me." "What's that?" Maria asked. "I need to know everything about customer service training programs, who creates them, how they work, and how much they cost. I also need to know about companies that specialize in diversity and inclusion training. Are you planning to start a training company?" Elon smiled. "I'm planning to start something much bigger than that." The next day, Elon sat across from Richard Pemberton at a quiet restaurant in Beverly Hills. The restaurant was small and elegant, with white tablecloths and soft music. It was the kind of place where important business deals happened over expensive meals. Richard was nervous. He was a successful businessman, but sitting across from Elon Musk made him feel like a small fish in a very big ocean. He had no idea why one of the world's most famous entrepreneurs wanted to meet with him. "Thank you for taking the time to see me," Elon said politely. He looked calm and relaxed, but his eyes were sharp and focused. "Of course," Richard replied. "I have to admit, I'm curious about why you wanted to meet." "Your assistant said something about customer service in luxury retail." Elon nodded. "I've been thinking about the retail industry lately. How stores treat their customers, how they train their staff. What makes some stores successful while others struggle?" Richard relaxed a little. This sounded like normal business talk. "It's definitely challenging. Customer expectations are higher than ever. Tell me about your training programs," Elon said. "How do you teach your employees to treat customers?" "Well, we focus on product knowledge mainly," Richard explained. "Our staff learns about the brands we carry, the prices, the quality. We want them to be experts on what we sell." "What about treating different types of customers?" Elon asked. "Young and old, rich and poor, different backgrounds." Richard looked confused. "I'm not sure what you mean. We treat all our customers the same." Elon studied Richard's face carefully. The man seemed honest. He really didn't understand that there might be a problem. "Let me ask you this," Elon said. "Have you ever received complaints about how your staff treats older customers?" Richard thought for a moment. "Well, sometimes older customers complain, but they complain about everything. The music is too loud, the lighting is too bright, the staff is too young. You can't please everyone." "What if I told you I was interested in investing in retail experiences that honor every customer?" Elon said, "regardless of their age, appearance, or how much money they seem to have." Richard's eyes lit up. An investment from Elon Musk could change his business completely. "That sounds very interesting. What kind of investment are you thinking about?" "The kind that focuses on dignity," Elon said, "making sure every person who walks into a store feels respected and valued. Training staff to see the person, not just their appearance." "I'd be very open to that," Richard said quickly. "Our Chanel store has been doing well, but we're always looking for ways to improve." Elon nodded slowly. "Good. I'll have my team reach out to you with some ideas. But I want you to think about something. Every customer who walks into your store was once someone's child. Many of them are now someone's parent or grandparent. They deserve to be treated with the same respect you'd want for your own family." After lunch, Richard drove back to his office feeling excited. An investment from Elon Musk could make him rich. He had no idea that this conversation would soon change everything about how his stores operated. Meanwhile, Elon was working on something much bigger than Richard could imagine. Back at his office, he was meeting with experts about a project he hadn't told anyone about yet. Dr. Jennifer Martinez was one of the country's leading experts on age discrimination. She had written books about how society treats older people and worked with companies to create fair policies. Age discrimination in retail is a serious problem, she told Elon. But most business owners don't even realize it's happening. They think they're just being selective about their customers. How do we fix it? Elon asked. Education. Dr. Martinez said. Training. Making people understand that older customers are actually very valuable. They often have more money to spend and are more loyal when treated well. Elon also met with Marcus Thompson, who ran a company that trained employees about diversity and inclusion. Marcus had worked with hundreds of businesses to help them treat all customers fairly. The key is changing attitudes, Marcus explained. When employees learn to see every customer as valuable, behavior changes naturally. But it has to come from the top. Management has to care about this issue. What would it take to create a nationwide program? Elon asked. Something that could train thousands of employees across hundreds of stores. Marcus whistled softly. That would be expensive, and it would take time. You'd need to create training materials, hire trainers, convince business owners to participate. It could cost millions of dollars. Elon smiled. Money isn't the problem. Time isn't the problem. The problem is making sure we do this right. While Elon was planning his bigger project, he made sure not to forget about his mother. He called her every day to check on her. How are you feeling, Mom? He asked during one of their evening conversations. Better, May said. I had a good day at work. I helped a woman plan a healthy diet for her whole family. It felt good to be useful. You're always useful, Elon reminded her. And you're always important. I've been thinking about what happened at that store, May said. Maybe it was just one bad person having a bad day. Maybe I shouldn't have taken it so personally. No, Mom, you should take it personally. When someone treats you badly because of your age, that's personal. That's wrong. And it's happening to many people. May was quiet for a moment. What are you planning, Elon? You've been very busy lately. I'm working on a solution, a real solution that will help a lot of people. Just promise me you won't do anything that will embarrass that young woman. She was rude. But she's still someone's daughter. Elon felt a wave of love for his mother. Even after being humiliated, she was worried about the person who had hurt her. That's the kind of person May Musk was. I promise, Mom, this isn't about revenge. This is about making things better. What Elon didn't tell his mother was that he had already started putting his plan into action. He had quietly begun contacting other business owners like Richard Pemberton. He was reaching out to training companies and experts on discrimination. He was building a network of people who could help him create real change. Most importantly, he was putting together a team to start something completely new. Something that would go far beyond just fixing one rude saleswoman or even one store. Elon Musk was about to launch a project that would change how millions of older people were treated in stores across America. And he was going to do it in a way that would help everyone: customers, employees, and business owners. But first, he had one more important meeting to attend. Tomorrow, he would have lunch with his mother and take her for a walk down Rodeo Drive. It was time for May Musk to see how much the world was about to change. 3 months had passed since that terrible day at the Chanel store. May had tried to put the incident behind her. She continued her work as a nutritionist, helped her clients plan healthy meals, and did photo shoots for health magazines. Life felt normal again. On a sunny Tuesday morning, Elon called his mother with an invitation. Mom, would you like to have lunch with me today? He asked. There's a nice restaurant near Beverly Hills I'd like to try. That sounds wonderful, May said. I always enjoy spending time with you. They met at a small Italian restaurant with outdoor seating. May wore a simple blue dress and carried the same modest handbag she had carried 3 months earlier. She looked happy and relaxed as they shared pasta and talked about family. How's your grandson doing at Stanford? Elon asked. Very well. He's excited about graduation next month. He wants to study engineering, just like his uncle. Elon smiled. He gets his intelligence from his grandmother. After lunch, Elon suggested they take a walk. It's such a beautiful day. Would you like to walk down Rodeo Drive? We could do some window shopping. May hesitated. She hadn't been back to that famous shopping street since the incident at Chanel. I don't know, Elon. I'm not really in the mood for shopping. We don't have to buy anything, Elon said gently. Just a nice walk together. Please. Something in his voice made May curious. He seemed excited about something, like he had a secret he wanted to share. As they walked down Rodeo Drive, May noticed that the store seemed different somehow. The sales staff they could see through the windows appeared more diverse. There were older employees working alongside younger ones. Everyone seemed friendlier when they approached the Chanel store. May stopped walking. Elon, I don't want to go in there, she said softly. Trust me, Mom. I think you'll be surprised. Reluctantly, May let Elon guide her toward the store entrance. The same security guard was there, but his demeanor was completely different. He smiled warmly and opened the door for them. Good afternoon. Welcome to Chanel, he said respectfully. Inside, the store looked the same, but the atmosphere felt completely different. The staff moved with purpose and warmth. An older gentleman was being helped by a young saleswoman who listened carefully to what he wanted. She showed him several watches with patience and respect. And the manager approached them, an elegant woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a genuine smile. Mrs. Musk, she said warmly. It's such an honor to meet you. I'm Patricia Williams, the new store manager. Your son has told us so much about your incredible life story. May looked confused. She glanced at Elon, who was watching her carefully. We've heard about your work as a nutritionist and your successful modeling career, Patricia continued. And of course, about raising 3 accomplished children while working multiple jobs. You're truly inspiring. I thank you, May said, still confused. But how do you know about me? Patricia smiled. We've completely transformed how we operate here. Everyone who works in this store now understands that every customer has a story worth respecting. We've learned that age brings wisdom and experience, not less value. As they walked through the store, Patricia explained the changes. All of our staff have completed new training on customer service excellence. We've learned to treat every person who walks through our door with dignity and respect, regardless of their age, appearance, or how much money they appear to have. An elderly woman was trying on a beautiful necklace while a young salesman helped her with enthusiasm. This piece really brings out your eyes, he was saying. You have excellent taste. Where's Jessica? May asked quietly. Patricia's expression became serious. Jessica is no longer with us. We discovered that she had a pattern of treating older customers poorly. That's not acceptable here anymore. May felt a mix of emotions. Relief that Jessica couldn't hurt other people, but also sadness that someone so young had lost her job. We didn't fire her because of any specific incident, Patricia explained, seeming to read May's thoughts. We let her go because she refused to change her attitude during our new training program. She couldn't understand that every customer deserves respect. As they browsed through the store, May noticed other changes. There were comfortable chairs for customers who needed to rest. The lighting was softer and easier on older eyes. The staff included people of different ages, not just young employees. This is amazing, May said to Elon. But I don't understand. How did all this happen? Elon smiled mysteriously. Let's continue our walk. I have something else to show you. Outside the store, May stopped and looked at her son. Elon, what did you do? Let's go to that cafe over there, Elon said. We need to talk. They sat at a small table outside a coffee shop. Elon ordered 2 cappuccinos and took a deep breath. Mom, after what happened to you in that store, I couldn't sleep for days. I kept thinking about how you've always supported me, always believed in me, always treated everyone with kindness and respect. That's what mothers do, May said softly. No, that's what special mothers do. And I realized that if someone could treat you so badly, they were probably treating thousands of other people badly too. Elon pulled out his phone and showed May a website. The banner read, The Dignity Initiative, ensuring respect for every customer. I started this 3 months ago, Elon explained, right after your phone call. May scrolled through the website, her eyes getting wider with each page. There were training programs for retail employees, guidelines for treating customers of all ages with respect, success stories from stores that had implemented the program. The Chanel store where you were treated badly was our first partner, Elon continued. I met with the owner, Richard Pemberton. I didn't tell him about what happened to you. I just talked to him about the importance of treating every customer with dignity. And he agreed to this once he understood the problem. Yes. We provided free training for all his employees. We helped him hire a new manager and create new policies. We even helped him redesign the store to be more welcoming to customers of all ages. They kept reading the website. The Dignity Initiative had already partnered with 50 major retailers across the country. They had trained thousands of employees. They had created a system for customers to report discrimination. But this is enormous, May said. This must have cost millions of dollars. It did, Elon said simply, but it was worth every penny. You did all this because of what happened to me. Elon reached across the table and took his mother's hand. I did this because what happened to you happens to thousands of people every day. Older customers are ignored, dismissed, or treated rudely just because of their age. That's not right. Tears filled May's eyes. I can't believe you did this, Mom. You gave me everything when I was growing up. You worked 2 jobs so I could have opportunities. You gave me your last $2,000 so I could follow my dreams in America. You believed in me when no one else did. Ellen's voice became emotional. The woman who sacrificed everything for her children deserves to be treated like the queen she is. And so does every other mother, father, grandmother, and grandfather who walks into a store. May was crying now, but they were happy tears. This is incredible, Elon, but you didn't have to do all this for me. I didn't do it just for you, Elon said. I did it for everyone who's ever been judged by their appearance instead of their character. I did it because the world needs to be a better place. They sat together in comfortable silence, watching people walk by on Rodeo Drive. Many of them were older customers, walking into stores with confidence and dignity. So that's why the Chanel store was so different, they said finally. That's just the beginning, Elon replied. Wait until you see what we're planning next. May stared at her son across the small cafe table. What do you mean? That's just the beginning. What else have you been planning? Elon smiled and pulled out a tablet from his bag. Mom, what I've shown you so far is just the retail part of the project. The Dignity Initiative is much bigger than stores and shopping. He opened the tablet and showed her a detailed presentation. The first slide read, Creating a world where age brings respect, not rejection. We've expanded beyond retail, Elon explained. We're now working with hospitals and medical clinics to improve how they treat elderly patients. We've discovered that older patients are sometimes ignored or dismissed by younger doctors and nurses. May scrolled through the presentation, amazed. There were photos of training sessions in hospitals, testimonials from elderly patients who had received better care, and statistics showing improved patient satisfaction. We've also partnered with transportation companies, Elon continued, airlines, taxi services, and ride-sharing apps. Older travelers were often treated like they were inconvenient or difficult. Now these companies train their employees to be patient and helpful with customers of all ages. The next section showed partnerships with restaurants, banks, and even government offices. Each had implemented training programs to ensure respectful treatment of older customers and clients. But how did you manage all this in just 3 months? May asked, overwhelmed by the scope of the project. I hired a team of 200 people, Elon said, experts in age discrimination, training specialists, business consultants, and coordinators. We've been working around the clock. May shook her head in disbelief. This must be costing you a fortune. $15 million so far, Elon said casually. But it's the best investment I've ever made. $15 million, Elon. That's too much money to spend because of one rude saleswoman. Ellen's expression became serious. Mom, this was never about one rude saleswoman. This was about a broken system that allows millions of people to be treated badly just because they're older. He showed her another section of the presentation filled with research data. Do you know that 73% of people over 65 report being treated rudely in stores at least once a month? That 45% of elderly patients feel dismissed by healthcare workers. That older job applicants are rejected 40% more often than younger ones with the same qualification. May studied the numbers, feeling sad that so many people experienced what she had experienced. But here's the amazing part, Elon continued, his excitement growing. We've discovered that when businesses treat older customers better, they actually make more money. Older customers have more disposable income and are more loyal when treated well. The presentation showed business results from partner companies. Stores that implemented the Dignity Initiative training saw average sales increases of 23%. Restaurants reported 18% more repeat customers. Healthcare facilities received 67% fewer complaints. So everyone wins, May said slowly. Exactly. Older customers get treated with respect. Businesses make more money. Younger employees learn valuable skills about customer service. It's what I call a positive feedback loop. Elon turned to a new section of the presentation, but we're not stopping there. We're creating scholarship programs for older adults who want to return to school. We're working with tech companies to make their products more accessible to elderly users. We're even consulting with city planners to make public spaces more age-friendly. May felt tears coming to her eyes again. I can't believe all this started because of what happened to me. It started because of what happened to you, but it continued because of what happens to millions of other people every day. Elon corrected gently. You were just the wake-up call I needed. He showed her one more section that made her gasp. We're also launching a public awareness campaign, television commercials, social media posts, and educational programs that teach young people to respect their elders. The sample commercials showed a young person helping an elderly woman with her shopping, while a narrator spoke about the wisdom and experience that comes with age. And we've created a reporting app, Elon added. If someone experiences age discrimination anywhere, they can report it through the app. We investigate every complaint and work with businesses to fix problems. They scrolled through testimonials on the app. An 82-year-old man wrote, for the first time in years, I feel respected when I go shopping. A 76-year-old woman said, the hospital staff treated me like a real person, not just an old patient. How many people have you helped so far? They asked. Based on our partner companies and the training we've provided, we estimate we've positively affected the lives of about 2.3 million older adults in the past 3 months. 2.3 million people. May whispered. And that's just the beginning. By the end of this year, we expect to reach 10 million people. By next year, 25 million. Elon put away the tablet and looked at his mother seriously. Mom, I want to ask you something important. Would you consider becoming the official spokesperson for the Dignity Initiative? May looked surprised. I'm not a public speaker. You're perfect, Elon said. You're successful, accomplished, and dignified. You've overcome challenges and achieved great things. You represent exactly the kind of person who deserves respect. But I'm not comfortable being in the spotlight for something like this. You wouldn't have to talk about what happened to you specifically, Elon assured her. You would just talk about the importance of treating all people with dignity. About how wisdom and experience are valuable. About how everyone deserves respect, regardless of their age. May thought about it for a moment. What would I have to do? Speak at conferences, appear in some of our educational materials, maybe do a few interviews with magazines and TV shows. You'd be helping millions of people who face the same challenges you faced. As they talked, May noticed something happening around them. Other customers at the cafe were listening to their conversation. An elderly man at the next table nodded approvingly. A middle-aged woman smiled at them. Even the young waitress serving coffee seemed interested in what they were discussing. People are listening, May said quietly. People care about this issue, Elon replied. They just needed someone to start talking about it openly. May made her decision. Okay, I'll do it. If my story can help other people avoid what I went through, then it's worth sharing. Elon reached across the table and hugged his mother. Thank you, Mom. Together, we're going to change how the world treats its elders. As they prepared to leave the cafe, Elon pulled out his phone to show May one final surprise. Remember Richard Pemberton, the man who owns the Chanel store where you were treated badly? Yes. He's become one of our biggest supporters. He's implementing the Dignity Initiative in all 12 of his stores. He's also donated $500,000 to fund training for other businesses. Really, he told me that our conversation opened his eyes to problems he never knew existed. He said he never wants any customer to feel the way you felt in his store. May smiled. So something good came from something bad. The best things often do, Elon said. And Mom, there's one more thing you should know. What's that, Jessica? The saleswoman who was rude to you, she wasn't fired because of what she did to you specifically. We never told anyone at the store about your experience. She was let go because during our training program, she refused to change her attitude toward older customers in general. May felt relieved. She had been worried that her son had gotten someone fired out of revenge, but here's the interesting part, Elon continued. Jessica applied for a job at one of our partner stores last month. When she went through their new interview process, she had to complete sensitivity training about treating all customers with respect. She got the job, and according to her manager, she's become one of their most thoughtful employees. So she learned and changed. People can change when they're given the right education and motivation, Elon said. That's what the Dignity Initiative is really about, not punishing people, but teaching them to be better. As they walked back toward their cars, May felt a sense of pride and purpose she hadn't felt in years. What had started as one of the worst days of her life had become the beginning of something that would help millions of people. Thank you, Elon, she said, for caring so much, for doing so much, for making something positive out of something painful. Thank you, Mom, Elon replied, for raising me to believe that when something is wrong, you don't just complain about it, you fix it. 6 months had passed since that emotional conversation at the cafe. The Dignity Initiative had grown beyond anything Elon or May could have imagined. What started as a response to one woman's pain had become a movement that was changing lives across the country. May stood backstage at a conference center in Chicago, adjusting her elegant navy blue suit. She was about to give her 20th speech as the official spokesperson for the Dignity Initiative. The nervousness she had felt during her first few speeches was gone. Now she felt confident and proud to share her message. You're going to be wonderful, said Dr. Jennifer Martinez, who had become both a close friend and advisor to the project. The audience is excited to hear from you. Through the curtain, they could see the packed auditorium. There were business owners, healthcare workers, retail managers, and ordinary people who wanted to learn about treating others with dignity. Some were young, some were old, but all were there because they believed respect should have no age limit. When May walked onto the stage, the applause was warm and genuine. She no longer needed notes for her speech. The words came from her heart. 6 months ago, I was humiliated in a store because someone decided I wasn't the right type of customer, she began. Today, I want to tell you about the amazing changes that one act of cruelty helped create. She told them about the hospitals that had retrained their staff to be more patient with elderly patients, about the restaurants that now offered comfortable seating and large print menus for older diners, about the transportation companies that trained drivers to help passengers who moved slowly or needed extra assistance. But the most important change, May continued, is in how we think about aging itself. We've started to see gray hair as a sign of wisdom, not weakness. We've learned to value experience over youth. We've remembered that respect is something every person deserves, no matter how old they are. The audience listened carefully as May shared real stories from people who had been helped by the initiative. Robert, age 78, wrote to tell us that for the first time in 5 years, he enjoys going to the grocery store. The staff there learned to speak clearly and offer help without making him feel helpless. Maria, age 82, sent us a photo from her doctor's appointment. She's smiling because the nurses treated her like an important person, not just another elderly patient taking up time. And David, age 85, called our office crying happy tears because a young salesman at a car dealership spent 2 hours helping him find the perfect car for his needs, never once suggesting he was too old to drive. After her speech, people crowded around May to share their own stories. A middle-aged woman told her about her mother receiving better care at the hospital. A young retail worker thanked her for training that helped him understand older customers better. An elderly man shook her hand and said, "Thank you for giving us our dignity back." These conversations happened after every speech, and they filled May's heart with joy. She had found a new purpose in life, helping others avoid the pain she had experienced. Meanwhile, the business results of the Dignity Initiative continued to exceed expectations. Companies that participated in the training program reported remarkable improvements. Richard Pemberton, the owner of the Chanel store where it all began, had become one of the initiative's biggest champions. His 12 stores now served as model locations for other luxury retailers, where sales have increased by 35% since implementing the training, he told a business magazine reporter. But more importantly, our customer satisfaction scores have reached all-time highs. When you treat people with respect, they want to come back. The same reporter interviewed Patricia Williams, the new manager of the original Chanel store. "We've completely transformed our culture," Patricia explained. "Our staff now includes people of different ages, and we've learned that older employees bring valuable skills like patience and life experience. Our customers love the diversity." The initiative had also caught the attention of major corporations across the country. Walmart implemented the training in 2,000 stores. McDonald's retrained 50,000 employees. Even airlines like Delta and American started programs to better serve elderly passengers. Dr. Martinez had documented the widespread impact in a research report. "We've now trained over 250,000 employees across 1,500 businesses," she announced at a press conference. Based on customer surveys, we estimate that 8.2 million older adults have experienced improved treatment in the past 6 months. But the ripple effect went beyond just businesses. Schools started teaching children about respecting elders. Social media campaigns encouraged young people to help older adults with technology. Cities redesigned crosswalks and public spaces to be more accessible for people who walked slowly or used mobility aids. One of the most touching developments was the volunteer program that had emerged organically. Young people began volunteering to help older adults with shopping, technology, and daily tasks. They called themselves Dignity Volunteers, and their numbers grew every week. Sarah Chen, a 22-year-old college student, explained her motivation to a local news reporter. "My grandmother told me about being treated rudely at stores, and it broke my heart. When I learned about Mrs. Musk's story and the Dignity Initiative, I wanted to do something to help." Sarah now spent her weekends helping elderly neighbors with grocery shopping and teaching them how to use smartphones and computers. The initiative had also created unexpected friendships between generations. At a shopping mall in Phoenix, a training session brought together teenage employees and elderly customers for a conversation about mutual respect. Many of these relationships continued long after the training ended. "I learned so much from Mrs. Henderson," said Jake, an 18-year-old who worked at a clothing store. "She told me stories about her life, and I realized that older customers aren't just people to sell things to. They're people with amazing experiences and wisdom to share." The media coverage continued to grow. Major newspapers wrote feature stories about the initiative. Television shows interviewed May and featured success stories from participating businesses. Social media influencers started promoting respect for elders as a trending topic. But perhaps the most meaningful coverage came from a documentary filmmaker who had been following the story from the beginning. She interviewed May, Elon, and dozens of people whose lives have been changed by the initiative. What started as one woman's bad experience has become a national conversation about dignity and respect, the filmmaker explained. "It shows how one person's pain can become the seed for positive change that helps millions of others." The documentary would later win awards and be shown in schools across the country as an example of how to turn negative experiences into positive action. As the initiative continued to grow, May often reflected on how different her life had become. 6 months earlier, she had been a woman who felt invisible and unimportant. Now she was traveling the country, speaking to thousands of people, and helping create real change in the world. "I never imagined that the worst day of my life would become the beginning of the best work of my life," she told a reporter during an interview. Sometimes painful experiences are the universe's way of pointing us toward our true purpose. The interviewer asked her what she hoped would happen next. "I hope that someday, we won't need the Dignity Initiative anymore," May replied. "I hope that treating all people with respect will just be normal. I hope that no grandmother will ever again have to call her son crying because someone made her feel small and unworthy." She paused and smiled. "But until that day comes, we'll keep working to make the world a more dignified place for everyone." Back in his office at Tesla, Elon watched a news report about his mother's latest speech. He felt proud of what they had accomplished together, but he also knew their work was far from finished. The Dignity Initiative had proven that systematic change was possible. Now they were ready to take it to the next level, making it a permanent part of how society functions. 1 year had passed since that painful day at the Chanel store. May Musk stood in the same Beverly Hills boutique, but this time, everything was different. She wasn't there as a humiliated customer. She was there for a photo shoot with Vogue magazine. At 71 years old, May had become the face of a movement that celebrated the beauty and value of aging. The photographer arranged her silver hair to catch the light perfectly. The makeup artist highlighted her wise eyes and elegant cheekbones. The stylist had chosen a stunning Chanel suit that made her look both powerful and graceful. "Mrs. Musk, you're absolutely radiant," said the photographer. "This cover is going to be iconic." The magazine's theme was ageless beauty, featuring models of different generations working together. They posed alongside women in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. The message was clear: beauty and worth don't disappear with age. Patricia Williams, the store manager who had welcomed me so warmly months earlier, watched the photo shoot with pride. "It's amazing to think this all started here," she told a reporter who was covering the event. "How has the store changed since implementing the Dignity Initiative?" the reporter asked. "Everything has changed," Patricia replied. "Our staff is more diverse in age and background. Our customers feel more comfortable and valued. Our sales have increased by 45% this year. But most importantly, we've become a place where everyone feels respected." During a break in the photo shoot, May walked around the store she had once fled in shame. Now it felt like a place of triumph. She stopped at the spot where Jessica had told her to try Target instead. A young saleswoman named Anna was there now, helping an elderly gentleman choose a gift for his wife. "This brooch would be perfect for your 50th anniversary," Anna was saying. "It's elegant and timeless, just like a love that lasts 50 years. The elderly man's eyes lit up. "She'll love it. Thank you for being so patient with me. I don't know much about jewelry." "It's my pleasure," Anna replied. "Love like yours deserves to be celebrated." May smiled, remembering how different this same interaction would have been a year ago. Elon arrived at the store to watch the final photos of the shoot. He stood quietly in the background, observing the scene with satisfaction. The store buzzed with positive energy. Customers of all ages browsed comfortably. Staff members treated everyone with equal respect and warmth. "How does it feel to be back here, Mom?" he asked during another break. "Like coming full circle," May replied. "A year ago, I left this store feeling worthless. Today, I'm here as someone who helped change the world." The photographer called for the final shots of the day. These would feature May alone, representing not just herself but millions of older adults who had regained their dignity through the initiative. As the camera clicked, May thought about the incredible journey that had brought her to this moment. The Dignity Initiative had grown beyond anything they had originally imagined. The final statistics were remarkable. The initiative now partnered with 5,000 businesses across the United States. They had trained over 800,000 employees. Independent research showed that 25 million older adults had experienced improved treatment in various settings. Major universities had started including age sensitivity training in their business and healthcare PR programs. The federal government had created new guidelines for treating elderly citizens in government offices. Several states had passed laws making age discrimination in customer service a punishable offense. But the numbers only told part of the story. The real success was measured in individual moments of dignity restored, like 73-year-old Frank, who had written to thank them for helping him feel confident about buying a new computer. The young salesperson had spent 2 hours teaching him how to use it, treating him like a valued customer instead of a confused old man, like 68-year-old Rosa, who finally felt comfortable going to restaurants again after servers learned to speak clearly and give her time to read the menu, like 79-year-old William, who could now shop for clothes without feeling judged. Because sales staff had learned to see his individual style instead of just his age, the initiative had also created unexpected, positive changes for younger people. Employees who received the training reported feeling more fulfilled at work. They enjoyed building relationships with customers of all ages. Many said the training made them better people, not just better workers. Companies discovered that older employees brought valuable skills to their teams. Patience, experience, and wisdom complemented the energy and technology skills of younger workers. Multi-generational workplaces became more productive and creative. The social impact extended beyond business. Families reported better relationships between grandparents and grandchildren. Communities organized intergenerational activities that brought different age groups together. Social media campaigns promoted respect for elders as a fundamental value. After the photo shoot ended, May and Elon walked to their favorite cafe for a quiet conversation. The same table where they had sat a year ago was available, and they chose it intentionally. "Do you remember what we talked about here?" Elon asked. "How could I forget? You showed me that my pain had become something beautiful." Elon pulled out an envelope he had been carrying. "I have something for you, Mom. It arrived this morning." May opened the envelope carefully. Inside was a handwritten letter on simple notebook paper. "Dear Mrs. Musk," she read aloud. "My name is Dorothy Martinez. I am 78 years old, and I live in Phoenix, Arizona. I wanted to write to thank you for something that happened to me last week." They continued reading silently, her eyes filling with tears. The letter described how Dorothy had gone to a department store to buy a dress for her great-granddaughter's birthday party. Instead of being ignored or dismissed, she had been treated with kindness and respect. "The young man who helped me spent 30 minutes showing me different options," the letter continued. "He treated me like I was important. He made me feel beautiful and valued. When I told him about your story and how it had changed things, he said he had learned about treating all customers with dignity because of something called the Dignity Initiative." Dorothy's letter went on to describe how this positive experience had given her confidence to do other things she had avoided. She had started taking art classes. She had joined a book club. She had even started dating again after being widowed for 5 years. "Because of your story and your son's foundation, I was treated with kindness," Dorothy wrote. "For the first time in years, I felt like I mattered. I felt like I had value. Thank you for turning your pain into something that helped people like me." The letter was signed with shaky handwriting, with gratitude and love. Dorothy Martinez. May wiped away her tears and looked at her son. "This is why it was all worth it. Letters like this arrive every day now," Elon said. Thousands of people writing to thank you for having the courage to share your story. They sat in comfortable silence, watching people of all ages walk by on the busy street. Many were older adults who now moved through the world with more confidence and dignity because of the changes that had begun with one woman's painful experience. "What's next for the Dignity Initiative?" May asked. "We're taking it international," Elon replied. "Companies in Canada, the United Kingdom, and Australia want to implement the program. The goal is to make respect for elders a global standard." May nodded approvingly. "The world needs more kindness, and we're creating something permanent," Elon continued. "A foundation that will continue this work long after we're gone. Future generations will grow up in a world where age discrimination is unthinkable." As the sun began to set over Beverly Hills, mother and son reflected on the incredible year they had shared. What started as one of the worst days of May's life had become the foundation for one of the most meaningful projects either of them had ever undertaken. "I'm proud of you, Mom," Elon said. "Not just for what you've accomplished this year, but for the woman you've always been. The woman who raised me to believe that when something is wrong, you don't just accept it, you fix it." "I'm proud of you too," May replied, "for caring so much about one person's pain that you decided to heal the pain of millions." They walked back toward the Chanel store one final time. Through the window, they could see the diverse, respectful staff helping customers of all ages. The security guard who had once looked at May with cold judgment now smiled warmly at every person who entered. On the door was a small plaque that read, "Dignity Initiative Partner Store, where every customer is valued." It was a simple sign, but it represented something profound, proof that one person's courage to speak up about injustice could create waves of positive change that would help millions of others. As they said goodbye that evening, neither May nor Elon knew that Dorothy Martinez's letter was just one of thousands that would arrive over the coming years. They didn't know that the Dignity Initiative would eventually expand to 47 countries. They didn't know that universities would study their approach as a model for social change. What they did know was that they had kept a promise made in pain. They had made sure that what happened to May, it would never happen to anyone else's mother again. And in doing so, they had proven that love, determination, and systematic action could transform not just individual lives, but entire societies. The legacy was no longer just about dignity for older adults. It had become a reminder that every person, regardless of age, deserves to be treated with respect, kindness, and humanity. That legacy would continue long after both of them were gone, carried forward by millions of people who had learned that changing the world begins with changing how we treat each other. That was the end of this incredible journey of how one moment of pain became a movement that changed millions of lives. May Musk's experience reminds us that even our darkest moments can become the foundation for something beautiful and meaningful. We'd love to know where you're watching from. Drop a comment below and tell us your city or country. It's amazing to connect with viewers from all around the world who believe in treating everyone with dignity and respect. If this touched your heart, please hit that like button. It really helps us reach more people who need to hear these inspiring messages. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more uplifting content just like this. Most importantly, share this video with your friends and family. Let's spread kindness and awareness together. Every share helps create a world where respect has no age limit, and where everyone is treated with the dignity they deserve. Remember, just like Elon showed us, when we see something wrong in the world, we have the power to fix it. Sometimes the smallest acts of courage can create the biggest waves of change. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.